UFC Rio is this weekend, my boys, and today I'm going to be giving y'all my full card predictions and breakdown. Rio, Uncle Dana has not forgiven y'all for throwing cans and throwing beer at Brandon Moreno after he beat Figgy, so y'all aren't getting too crazy of a card, but honestly, it is very top-heavy. We have a great main event, one of the better fight night main events this year. We have Charles Oliveira on a fight night before GTA 6. It's crazy to say, but great main event, great co-main, great feature fight. The main card in general is solid. The prelims aren't too crazy, but in general, hopefully we get some bangers, some finishes, and some scraps coming off of a really good, really entertaining start to October with UFC 320. So today I'm giving you my full card predictions and breakdown for UFC Rio going down this weekend, okay? The Charles Oliveira retirement card. Hopefully not, but possibly. It does have that vibe written all over it, all right? Just starting off with the first one we got here, and I feel like Patrick Starr when he's saying, "Who are you people?" That's That's how I feel, man. This fight makes me feel like a casual, because I'm not even going to BS y'all. I don't know who either of these two are, okay? Lacerda, he's the favorite here, and he's going to be my prediction to win this one, but he's just slipped my radar. He's only fought once since Jamal Hill was the champion. Since January 2023, he's fought once. He got knocked out by Damone Blackshear. This guy's 0-2 in the UFC, and Simon Oliveira, I don't remember him either, okay? He's fought also only one time since Jamal Hill was the champion from January 2023, so I'm not hardcore enough or I'm not informed enough to tell y'all whether it's just injuries or whether it's just issues outside of the cage. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know too much about these two. They're fighting for their jobs here. One is 0-2 and the other is 0-3 in the UFC. I don't know too much about their skill set or how this matchup is just going to collide, how these two giants are going to go at it against each other, but I'm going with Lacerda simply because he is the favorite, and that's all I know. Like, I really can only go off the betting odds for this one. I'm sorry, okay? I don't know dick about either of these two. I'm going with Lacerda simply because he is the favorite. I'm sorry. Moving on up next to Valter Walker. I'm not sure if he has a ranking next to his name or not. And I'm also surprised that he's so early up on the card, but Valter Walker is going to be taking on Muhammad Usman. My prediction is going to be Valter Walker. I just don't rate Usman that highly. And you hear me say that and you think, people forget, man, Kamaru Usman obviously is very elite, but this is not Kamaru. If this guy didn't have that last name, if his name was like Muhammad, I could have thought of any other last name, and I just put his first as his last. But if his name was Muhammad something, whatever the hell else, he's just not that impressive of a prospect, if you even want to call him that for heavyweight. I mean, he's almost 40 years old, so I wouldn't say much of a prospect. He's already lost twice in the UFC. He's 4-2 or 3-2, whatever the hell it is, and he's a decision merchant. His debut, he had a great knockout, and after that, it was just decision. These fights aren't even that memorable anyways. I mean, usually when these big boys, when these heavyweights, when these S-tier blobs like Muhammad Usman are going to the distance, it's usually not too great of a fight. And I feel like against Valter Walker, I think that Valter Walker just has the higher finishing ability. His striking worries me because he's very hittable on the feet, but the past few fights, man, he's just shown that he's a level above in the grappling above these guys. I mean, he has the only 3 heel hooks in a row. He's the only other motherfucker to ever do that in UFC history, so kudos to Valter Walker for achieving these AI generated stats. But really, man, it is impressive. I rated the Kennedy Nzechukwu win pretty solidly. How did Lucas Bresky beat this dude? That's my question. I sound like Prime Joe Rogan. How the hell is that possible? I mean, people forget, man, how did we get to the moon? But in general, I think that Valter Walker, besides that one loss against Lucas Bresky in his debut, where he just simply got outstruck, he landed a few takedowns, he had a few moments, but ultimately he just lost, and he's 14-1. It's a great record. It's crazy that that's his only loss, because Bresky is one of the biggest jobbers in the UFC, especially for the bigger weight classes. But at the end of the day, I think Walker's going to be able to take this one. I rate his grappling higher, defensively, offensively, his finishing ability on the ground, whatever the hell it may be. I don't think he just needs heel hooks to get this one done. Now, if he obviously comes up short here and he gets outstruck and he gets pieced to hell up, maybe even knocked out, that'd be crazy, but I think that Valter Walker, he is hittable, and I think he needs to show more output and volume on the feet to really kind of take away Usman on the scorecards if he's not able to get some kind of finish. But I would rate the grappling higher for Walker here. I think he's more efficient with his takedowns. I think he actually aims for submissions. He is hittable on the feet. The striking worries me if he doesn't throw enough output, and this just does drag to another 29-28 boring Usman decision. Because you could say that Usman, I mean, he could crack here. He could find the chin of Walker, but Walker's pretty durable. Even in his one loss that he suffered, he never really got rocked. He's never been finished. So I think his chin will be able to survive the power power of Usman. I think going against a more high-level striker, maybe someone around that top 10 range or a big crafty Derek Lewis opponent, I could see Walker getting chinned or getting exposed, but against a Muhammad Usman, I think he's going to be able to hold his own in the pocket, be able to hold his own in the striking in general, and look for some kind of submission and be pretty much efficient with most of his takedowns here, okay? Usman's takedown defense isn't all that, and his takedowns in general, when he's trying to get after it in the offensive end, are even less of all that. Jesus. I think Walker's going to get the hell after it, and I see a round 2 submission here, okay? Moving on down the prelims to Lucas Rocha taking on Stuart Niccoli, and once again, I got to dust off my casual cap, and I deserve to put it on because I really don't know much about either of these two, man. Stuart Niccoli, man, he's coming off a submission, lost a brutal one within 1 round, and it was it was quick, it was efficient. He got taken out of there by Jesus Aguilar, who's solid competition, but Lucas Rocha, man, he also got submitted in his only UFC appearance. So both these guys are 0-1 in the UFC. Both got choked the hell out. One hasn't fought since late 2024, and the other hasn't fought since, what do you know, late 2024. So it is what it is, brother. I'm going with Lucas Rocha, and it's just unfortunate, man. If I get this one wrong, it's just so unfortunate. The pick rate, it goes down. My heart, it plummets. Okay, my mental sanity, goodbye. All because of these picks where I just don't know. And yet I'm just gonna lose. It's literally pick-em odds too. Of course it is. Why not? There's not even a favorite. Of course. I'm going with Lucas Rocha. I don't know dick about either of these two, and I'm sorry, okay? Moving on up next to Vitor Petrino, who it seems like yesterday was about to be cut from the UFC, but now he's moved up to heavyweight. He had an impressive debut up there against Austin Lane. Granted, it's Austin Lane, kind of a jobber for heavyweight, which is crazy because it is the jobber weight class, it seems like. But Vitor Petrino seems comfortable up here, and he's going to be taking on Thomas Peterson in his second heavyweight outing. And Thomas Peterson, I swear to God, going into this video, I confused him with like 5 other heavyweights that I thought were Thomas Peterson, okay? I don't even know who the else I was thinking of, but he seems to just be the NPC of the heavyweight division. I was talking about Muhammad Usman earlier, someone who's a bit of a decision merchant up here at heavyweight, and Peterson is a bit of that, man. Going against these kind of slow, drawn-out decisions against Muhammad Usman himself and against Dontel Mays. Like, those are solid wins, but the fact that he lost to Jamal Pogues, how does that even happen? So, Thomas Peterson, the record is solid, but in general, there's nothing in his skill set that really stands out here to where I think he's going to be able to beat Vitor Petrino. I rate the striking better for Petrino. I rate the power on the feet better. I think he's more aggressive. I think he has better finishing ability. He's more athletic, explosive. And I think Vitor Petrino, I mean, he got a rear naked choke against Austin Lane, and he just showed that he wasn't the craziest grappler in the world. I mean, this guy got choked out by Anthony Smith in a round or something like that. So Vitor Petrino was never the craziest grappler, but it's something there, okay? I really believe this, Daniel. I really believe that Vitor Petrino, I really believe this guy is the S-tier grappler for the division, Daniel. I think that Vitor Petrino's light heavyweight grappling moving up to heavyweight, it's just a level above now, okay? I'm not saying this guy's going to be like the Jalen Almeida of heavyweight now, but I'm just saying against the Austin Lanes and against the Thomas Petersons, I feel like that he could hunt for these submissions. He could hunt for these takedowns. And I feel like his striking, he just has the advantage over Peterson. I feel like he's going to be quicker, more powerful. I feel like he's going to be hunting for some kind of knockout here or just going to be able to outstrike him, whatever the hell it is. I feel like that Thomas Peterson could sneak his way and just get some kind of crafty 30-27 or 29-28 slow decision. Maybe he mixes in the takedowns. Maybe he holds up the takedown defense. Maybe he just throws a little bit more output on the feet to really carry away this decision. I don't know, but Peterson could get it done. I'm not sure what the betting odds for this one are, but I'm going to be trusting in the more athletic and just a bit more momentum on his side. I just feel like both these guys, even though they're on a 1-fight win streak, it just seems like the momentum is in favor of Petrino. He's a little bit younger, and he just seems more promising to invest in. You know what I'm saying? Peterson is kind of win one, lose one, and that's for heavyweight. And at least with Vitor Petrino, he was on a great streak, came up short with a little bit of step up in competition, and now he's here, okay? So I'm going with Vitor Petrino in his home country via a round 1 or 2 finish. Maybe it's a submission or maybe it's a knockout, I don't know, but a round 1 or 2 finish for Vitor Petrino here, okay? Moving on up next to the flyweights, getting the featured prelim spotlight here. We got Filho taking on Clayton Carpenter. The mini Drew Dober. I just realized that right now. If other people said that before, probably. But look at how the way this dude is mean mugging me. Mini Drew Dober here, looking like round SpongeBob. He's going to be my prediction here to get this one done, okay? 8-1 record. He's a slight underdog. I like these odds on Clayton Carpenter, man. He's coming off a loss to Tagir Ulanbekov, but truly he did give him a couple of problems. Obviously, that was a grappler versus grappler matchup. Obviously, that's the same thing with this matchup here. But it seemed like on the feet, the numbers were very close. And it just seemed like Carpenter, his takedown defense held up all right, but just Tagir Ulanbekov, he was too big, he was too strong on the ground, he was efficient enough to carry that one away via some 29-28. But the thing about Filho is that he's not a Tagir Ulanbekov. At least that's a ranked opponent, whereas Filho is kind of one of these win-one, lose-one guys in the UFC. And yes, he's losing to like Muhammad Makayevs of the world, but he's also losing to Alan Nascimentos. And I feel like Clayton Carpenter, he's young enough, and I rate his grappling a little bit higher to where I think he'll get the better of Filho in these scrambles. And both these guys, like I said, they are grapplers, so they're both going to shine here. They're both going to be, low output on the feet, hunting for their takedowns, hunting to take each other's backs, hunting for some kind of choke, because I will say this, these guys aren't just smudge grapplers either. Like, they know how to get the fuck after it in terms of finishing the fight. They're both submission artists. Clayton Carpenter's got a nice rear naked choke. So again, I'm excited to see the scrambles and display here. Don't go into this one thing and you're going to see a stand and bang matchup, but I'm going with Carpenter via a decision. I'm going to go with a decision. I almost said submission here, but Filho, he's good defensively on the ground. His grappling and submission game in general is good, man. I feel like it's not that top 10 worthy level, but Carpenter isn't yet either. They're both making their way up, and the division of flyweights on fire. I think Filho has more experience. I feel like that could help him. I feel like he's very durable. Like, if there's any way to beat him, unless you're kind of like that very elite level, or you really are high enough level of a grappler, you're usually taking Filho if you are beating him to some kind of decision. I think Carpenter doesn't have too much power behind his hands, and I don't think he's just too much better of a grappler than Filho to get some kind of submission, but he definitely is a finishing artist. He definitely can get this one done. I think that Carpenter is going to be able to bounce back. I think he's got that bit of a more fresh trajectory on him, a bit more of the prospect to invest in here, and I understand he's a bit more green, but I feel like he's a bit more willing to finish, and I feel like the less experience at the more elite level might come to bite him in the ass, but I feel like he's going to come back here ready to fill in the gaps between the wrestling, between the defensive grappling, between the distance control between these two, and I feel like he's going to edge this one out to something on the judges' scorecards to where I see Carpenter via a 29-28 decision, okay? Filho can definitely take this one. It's probably going to give him a lot of problems, but I'm leaning towards the slightly better striking and the slightly better ground game and just the slightly younger fighter in general in Clayton Carpenter, okay? Moving on up next to open up the main card, and it's a bit of a weird choice, specifically this fight to open up the main card, but it is what it is. It's Lucas Almeida versus Michael Aswell, a bit of the jabroni versus jabroni matchup we got here, but should be a banger for what it's worth. I'm going to be going with Michael Aswell. He's the slight favorite here, and again, these guys are literally fighting for their career. They're fighting for their contract. Who's going to go in a win one, lose one for the next 2 or 3 years, and who's going to get cut? That's what we're going to find out from Uncle Dana at the post-fight presser, okay? I'm going with Michael Aswell, though, in all seriousness, no, man. I know that he's 0-2 in the UFC. That's obviously a really rough look, but I favor him in this matchup because it's not like he's just getting completely dog-walked in his losses, okay? Yes, he's going to the distance, and yes, the striking numbers are very high. This guy is just throwing like 9 or 10 significant strikes landed per minute, as you see on your screen. He's very high output, very high volume on the feet. I just think he's not too accurate of a striker. He's not too powerful of a striker. He's not too clean or precise of a striker, and I feel like all this bites him in the ass. He kind of throws to the wind, and yes, he's landing, and yes, he's cracking, but it's nothing too devastating, and it's nothing too clean to where he keeps coming up short in these decisions. Now, I think it's against solid competition. Like, I rate Bodengrad and Balajialki around a similar level, but they're definitely between that like 25 to 45, whatever the hell, that's a really big range, but whatever the hell, that top 30 somewhere in the goddamn rankings. And I feel like Michael Aswell is going to be able to close the distance, still be able to keep up the very high pace and high pressure that he put on in his previous performances. And Lucas Almeida, man, the thing is, there's just nothing in his game that really stands out too much here. Like, yes, he does have a couple of wins in the UFC, and yes, the knockout he did have was devastating, but that was in 2022. Think of everything that's happened in your life since 2022, for Christ's sake. So I'm just saying, this guy, he's losing in every single way, the same way Thanos is collecting every single Infinity Stone. He's getting knocked out, he can get submitted, he can get 29-28'd, he can get taken down a bunch, he can get outstruck. Like, Lucas Almeida, there's just nothing in his game that stands out. He's an alright striker, but he seems a bit one-dimensional, and Michael Aswell is a bit sloppy. I don't think he's ever going to be ranked or anything like that. He's fighting for his career here, but I rate the fact that he's going to be more aggressive, he's going to get the hell after it and hunt for some kind of finish, more output on the feet. I rate his striking just a little bit better, and I favor him in a dogfight scenario to where I see Michael Aswell via a 29-28 competitive decision. Almeida, he's pretty durable. He'll be able to hang in there. I don't think that Aswell has that one-punch KO power to take this one via a devastating finish, but maybe. He does need some kind of statement, but overall I'm going to be trusting it. And the striking that I'm going to rate a little bit higher here in Michael Aswell, okay? Definitely more aggressive and just more output, and I'm smelling a 29-28 for him, okay? Moving on up next to the next fight we got here, it's Ricardo Ramos taking on Offli. my prediction is going to be the kind of sizable favorite in Ricardo Ramos. Now, it's definitely one of my least confident picks on the card, but honestly, I get that he's one of these win one, lose one guys, but honestly, he is, I just said honestly like 5 times in the same sentence, but what is there to be so honest about? Jesus Christ. But I'm just saying he's well-rounded. I like his submission game. He's definitely got a bit more finishing ability from what I could see, bit more dynamic overall, and obviously he has so much more UFC level experience to where, yes, he's lost a fair share of jobbers, but he's also won some scraps over some pretty notable names lingering outside of the rankings. So Ricardo Ramos, I'm going to trust in him via being a bit more well-rounded, showing that he is that UFC level. Because with Offli, I feel like a lot of people are a fan of this guy. He's one of these if you know fighters, but I just feel like he hasn't shown anything at the UFC level yet to where I'm going to be picking him over Ricardo Ramos. On the regional scene, he looked like an absolute marauder, but when he's getting knocked out by Myron Santos and he's getting dull decisioned by Muhammad Naimov, that's both good levels of competition kind of lingering outside the rankings for the UFC. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying he hasn't really shown off any takedowns. He hasn't shown off the submission game. He hasn't really rocked his opponents or anything like that. It's been vice versa. You know what I mean? So he's 0-2 in the UFC. I feel like he can finish the fight early. He has the potential to do that, but I'm going to be trusting in just the chin. And again, that UFC experience gap here between Ramos and Offli. I just feel like Offli, he's just a bit more vulnerable on the feet. I feel like he's got less power in his strikes. He's suffering from a reach and size disadvantage in general. And again, I just feel like the veteran, it's not even like a veteran like a Neo Magny, and he's still beating these guys like Mike Mount and Jake Matthews. Like, Ramos is a fighter where you could be watching the UFC for years and you just find out who he is this weekend. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he's not active. I'm not saying he's not exciting. I'm not saying any of that shit, but you get the vibe of this matchup. You know what I'm saying, all right? I'm going with Ricardo Ramos via a 29-28 decision here, okay? Moving on up next to more of the big boys, man. It seems like we have a lot of these big blobs on this card, man, okay? It's stinking on my camera. Does that even make sense? Johanita Diniz is going to be taking on Mario Pinto. And if you look at these guys' record combined, they only have 1 loss between 20 fights. You would think this is like an S-tier versus S-tier prospect here. But really, it's Mario Pinto who was getting outstruck and he got knocked down and rocked by Austin Lane before he got the knockout in round 2. And Johanita Diniz, who was on a good streak and was about to be that next heavyweight prospect in line to take over the top 15, but then he got fraud checked. Not fraud checked, but he got beat the hell up on the ground by Martin Tybura, okay? So really, the fact that if it was any other division, I mean, this would be a lot more high level, but it is heavyweight prospects here, and I do think that whoever wins this might get some ranked opportunity next, but I'm going to be going with Johanita Diniz, bro. Fuck it, man. This is a risky pick here. He's a slight underdog. I was originally going to go Mario Pinto, but genuinely, man, it was that Austin Lane performance that really kind of stood out to me and changed my mind because they both shared the similar opponent. They both knocked him out in round 2, but the difference is at least Johanita Diniz was outstriking him and kind of piecing him apart, and his chin was holding up. I mean, his chin in general for Diniz, it's a good chin. Like, he hasn't really gotten rocked or knocked down at all in the UFC. I mean, again, he got ground and pound TKO'd by Tybura, but that's the bread and butter of Martin Tybura, okay? That's his literal gate, and he is the gatekeeper. So I feel like for Diniz, this is just going to be primarily a striking battle. Pinto is just a power striker. He's going to hunt for a knockout early on in round 1 or 2. And Pinto's Contender Series appearance, it was good. It was a flashy knockout. And again, Austin Lane, even though Austin Lane was having way too many moments in round 1, but when he actually went back in the corner and he dialed in with his coaches and they said, you need to show urgency, you need to finish this guy, he threw a nasty right hook that sent Austin Lane like flying to the shadow realm. Worse than we'd ever seen, okay? A guy that's known for being flatlined. I mean, Jesus, Diniz and him both did it, and many others. It was a brutal one. So Pinto has devastating power. He's got a lot of finishes, and again, this is just going to be primarily a striker versus striker. I mean, Diniz used to be a glory kickboxer. Pinto's going to hunt for an early finish. I feel like Diniz has just developed a bit more of that UFC experience. I know he actually shared a loss, unlike Mario Pinto, who's undefeated still. But if you gave Pinto Martin Tybura right now, I don't care if it's Martin Tybura coming off of a brutal knockout against whoever the fuck it was. Whoever the hell it was, Ante Delija, okay? I would pick Martin Tybura at 10 out of 10 days against Pinto. He's undefeated. He's a powerful striker, but he just seems a bit reckless at times. He just seems like he doesn't throw enough output at certain times. He just seems like one of these heavyweights that gets knockout, but then you give him a slight step up in competition, and usually these guys are like a coin flip up there. As soon as you give up a little bit of a step up, you don't know what's going to happen. But I feel like the fact that you're not going to deal with any ground and pound or any takedowns coming in, any late mixing in of the grappling, I just don't think you're going to see that here, which plays into both these guys' favor. But Johanna Johanna to Diniz, I'm going to trust in his kickboxing. He's a bit more that decision merchant. He's going to the distance against guys like Alvin Hines making his UFC debut and shit like that, which is worrying, but I feel like he's developing enough UFC experience, and he's a bit older, but he's not like a grandpa. He's not like a grunkle stand for the heavyweight division. He's 34, and I feel like he's going to be utilizing the experience he's been racking up. Whereas Mario Pinto, he seems a lot more aggressive. He seems a lot more like he's going to hunt for the finish, and he's a lot younger by almost a decade. So I feel like he's a little bit more green to where I get these guys have the same exact amount of fights, but I'm going to be trusting in Johanna Deniz's kickboxing here, and he's in his home country to where I could see him sneaking out some kind of 29-28 decision. Maybe having some scary moments early, maybe getting rocked in the first round bad by Mario Pinto, but I feel like I'm going to be trusting in Diniz to win this one 29-28 here, okay? Risky pick. It's a blob fight, so who the hell knows, but I'm going to trust in it, okay? Moving on up next to what could be an actual butchering. The actual soul being lifted here from Vicente Luque. I know we say this kind of a lot, but genuinely, he's taking on Joel Alvarez here where I don't even remember who Luque was supposed to fight. It was Santiago Ponzinibbio, and I remember thinking, the little rainbow appeared over my head. I got the Looney Tunes hard eyes. I was about to see Vicente Luque get back in the win column. Maybe some kind of submission in his home country before he ends his career. Well, ends his career. He's 33 years old. He's the same age as Joel Alvarez, but he's taken 8 times the damage, and he's already fought the T-Woods of the world, whereas Joel Alvarez is just showing up to the dance, man. It's crazy these guys are the same age and have a similar amount of fights. Good God, but my pick here is going to be Joel Alvarez. I really wanted to see Luque get back in the win column here, man, but Joel Alvarez, he's a big favorite, and he's going to be hunting for the finish. I mean, throughout the entire fight, Joel Alvarez can knock you out or submit you from the first minute of the fight to the last. He's constantly dangerous, and for a guy like Luque, who is well-rounded, okay, and he is fast, and I feel like that he's got underrated striking at times. I feel like he's got good finishing ability. I feel like he's got good grappling. He's good in the scrambles. His takedown defense is solid. But when he goes against a guy who's a good enough striker or a powerful enough striker or someone who can mix in the grappling efficient enough to where they're more well-rounded or just a more dominant grappler, all it takes is, I feel like, a little bit of a step up, and that's where a lot of these Luque losses come from, man. He faces somebody who's younger, just edges him out a little bit more, or whatever the hell it may be, more powerful, and he just gets finished or gets defeated here. And I think Joel Alvarez just has more momentum on his side. I know he's coming out of Spain, and Spain doesn't have too many high-level fighters in the UFC, but the fact that a lot of people look at this guy, they point to him like the Spider-Man meme, and they say, this guy is the second best Spanish fighter right now in the UFC. There's a lot of hype, a lot of momentum, and a lot of praise that he gets, and I feel like it's pretty justified. I think Joel Alvarez is good, dangerous, he's very entertaining, and he's well-rounded. He's a promising prospect, and I like the move to 170 for him. I think he was huge for 155, so not to go all Joe Rogan, but people forget, man, this guy was 6'3". He was taking on Jalen Turner for a battle of the Jolly Green Giants at lightweight. But in general, I like the move, but there's just things in Joel Alvarez's game that kind of do worry me. I feel like that he can get a bit reckless at times, and I feel like that he's pretty composed for the most part, but when he's getting scrappy in the pocket, I feel like if he goes against a high-level enough striker or a guy who's more powerful than him or used to getting in the pocket or has been in these wars, I feel like I could see Joel Alvarez getting caught, man. And when you look at Joel Alvarez's losses in the UFC, I mean, I forgot who he lost his debut to. It was some Dagestani guy who I don't even know the name of, okay, but it was before COVID even hit. It was when John Jones was going on like the Anthony Smith title run, okay? And then he got knocked out by Arman Tsarukyan a couple years ago, but Arman Tsarukyan is the literal #1 contender. So other than that, it's been all finishes, 100% finish rate in the UFC. And so my point is, when he's going against a certain level of competition, like a Jakar Close or an Elvis Brenner, like he's probably going to knock him the hell out. He's got brutal knees. He's comfortable getting in the pocket. But again, I feel like the fact that he's reckless, the fact that he has a bit of an experience gap to that top 10 level to where it is a bit worrying when he goes against the Saryukyans or when he goes against these Russian, whoever the hell is, the Mohammeds of the world or whatever the hell they may be, he is coming up short. He can get outstruck. He can get caught. His chin is pretty good for the most part, but he has been finished. I just think that Luque is a winnable fight for a man. I think that there is going to be a certain step up in competition to where it will cause problems for Alvarez. I just think that it will be somebody along the road in the next year or two, especially with the uncertainty of how Alvarez is going to do at welterweight, to where it might be a Buckley or somebody like that that really does just beat Alvarez. I can really see that happening. I think that he's coming into his own, and I think that a win over Luque is going to do good for him. I think that Luque is just getting at this point in his career, man, where he needs to win over a guy like Ponzinibbio. He'll have the grappling advantage there. He'll have the striking advantage there. He'll look like a marauder, but against a guy like Alvarez, he just seems to consistently be coming up short here, okay? So I rate Alvarez highly. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's younger, faster, and he's going to be more powerful here, has much more momentum, and I'm going to be going with him to beat Vicente Luque via a round 2 knockout. And for Luque, man, it would have been nice to see him have a home country winnable fight here. He could get this one done. He really can. I'm not just trying to write off Vicente Luque like it's his obituary, but I don't even know what that is. That's what DC said at the end of the Edwards fight. Shit. I think it's what happens when you talk about dead people. I sound so dumb. I sound so dumb, bro. I'm 25. All right, anyways, I'm going with Joe Alvarez. I see a round 2 knockout here. I just don't think Luque is going to be the guy yet at this stage in the game to beat Alvarez. I think Alvarez is just, he's going to be more aggressive, more athletic, more momentum on his side. Both these guys are well-rounded. Both these guys can finish a fight, and they are dangerous most of the time throughout the entire duration. They got cardio to back it up as well. But I just feel like Alvarez is going to apply that better fight IQ. He's just going to be stronger. I feel like he'll be able to hold his own defensively or offensively on the ground, and I see him cruising his way to making this a standing battle and finding the chin of Luque. Luque, he's good. He'll have moments on early, but I just feel like the pressure and the high pace, the aggression, everything, the explosivity of Alvarez is going to be too much. Another Spanish fighter on the rise. I feel like I see a round 2 knockout here, okay? Moving on up next to the co-main event, and I love this fight, dude. Genuinely, this is one of the more unpredictable fights on the card. Deiveson Figueiredo, he's back taking on Montel Jackson. Montel Jackson, for the most part, has been a relatively inactive fighter past couple of years, but now he's trying to get 2 fights in this year, man, and I appreciate that, okay? He's getting a big step up in competition, and I'm going with the vice versa. I'm going with the opposite. I'm going with the underdog in Deiveson Figueiredo. A big reason why, man. Well, not a big reason why, but I will say this. I was shocked to find out how big of an underdog Figueiredo was. Like, the fact that he wasn't going to be the favorite, okay, I could see that. But, Jesus, people truly forget, man. Like, it reminds me when RDR was like a plus 250 against Bo Nickel. Like, I get it. I understand it. But what is wrong with y'all, man? I just think the betting odds are kind of wrong sometimes. And I'm not saying Figueiredo should have been the favorite, but he's my prediction to win this fight, man, for a lot of reasons, okay? I really think this is one of these step-up in competitions for Montel Jackson and a step down for Figueiredo, to where I really do think level of competition matters. Like, Montel Jackson, when he's kind of going to a very close decision against Daniel Marcos, one of the worst undefeated fighters of all time, before he ran into Montel Jackson and came up short, it just says a lot. You know what I mean? It was a boring stinker. And yes, Montel Jackson has crazy power. He had like 5 or 6 fights in a row or something like that. Maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. But it was around that range where every single fight, he at least got a knockdown in on his opponent. Sometimes multiple times. So the power, whether he actually finishes the fight or it goes to the distance, it doesn't matter. The power of Montel Jackson, the striking of Montel Jackson is consistently there every time he fights. And again, I brought up the Daniel Marcos win like it's a bad thing. But he was the one to snap Daniel Marcos' 17-fight win streak in his undefeated record. So it's still a good win. I just feel like these Damone Blackshear wins and these Julio Arces and these JP Buys. Like, I just think that Figueiredo is fighting like the Sanhagens and the Jans and the Morenos. And those are the guys that are beating him. Former champions, the guys that are about to fight for the belt. And it just seems like he's able to still beat Chito Vera. He's still able to submit Cody Garbrandt. He's still able to beat Rob Font. I don't know if Montel Jackson would beat a Rob Font or a Chito Vera right now, let alone a Deiveson Figueiredo, man. I know that Montel Jackson is powerful. He's a fast striker. The power just comes out of nowhere. He's sneaky with it, he's efficient with it, and he's consistent. It's a lot for Figueiredo to worry about. But Figueiredo has a fantastic chin. This guy barely gets dropped, and he has one of the most underrated power, or he has some of the most underrated power behind his hands I've ever seen, okay? Pound for pound. Like, the fact that he was able to consistently crack at flyweight, the fact that he translated it up to bantamweight, and he's able to piece up Rob Font, and he's able to be the only man to ever knock down Chito Vera. I get that Montel Jackson is good, and I get that he's a good striker, he's powerful, but like, I feel like we're forgetting that Figueiredo is also a good striker, an underrated striker. He can get in the pocket, he can have a striking battle. We've seen the wars against Moreno on the feet, but we've seen the grappling as well, man. Like, Figueiredo showed low fight IQ against Sanhagen, and I feel like he was putting himself in poor positions on the ground. He was hunting for too many leg locks, and I just feel like, obviously, you're going to come up short when you're spamming low fight IQ against a guy who's as good as Sanhagen, as well-rounded as Sanhagen, but Sanhagen is that top 5 worthy level, you know what I mean? Like, even if it's another loss for Figueiredo now, he's only had a few in his career, and it's usually only to the elite competition of the world, okay? So I just feel like the striking, at least these guys at the very least can be comparable. They're both powerful. They both can crack. They're both comfortable in the pocket, but they also can be very patient and technical with it at the same time. I think with Figueiredo wants to lock in and show good fight IQ. Obviously, a lot of the times he's getting shit done, man. Some kind of crafty submission, some kind of crazy like knockdown, and then he's piecing you up via a 29-28, whatever it may be. Figueiredo, I feel like he's going to be able to take this one via a 29-28 decision. I don't think this is a 5-rounder, but I just see him being able to hold his own in the striking, holding his own in the pocket. His chin is good, man. He has power to knock these guys down consistently, but he's, well, not super consistently, but you know what I'm saying? The power is there, and I just feel like his chin, he could take a lot of these guys' best shots. It's not like he's fighting weak strikers. He's fighting elite competition, and I feel like that Figueiredo has the grappling advantage. He'll look good in the clinch. He'll be able to mix it up on the ground, on the feet, and I just feel like he has more experience to where, yes, he's getting up there in age. Yes, he's 37 years old, and at bantamweight, that is concerning, and yes, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but I'm just saying this is the year of the Younks. So Figueiredo, former champion, can get this one done over Montel Jackson, who he has been beaten before, man. He's been outstruck before. He's been taken down before. And I feel like Figueiredo will show better fight IQ than he did against Sandhagen, prove why he's a former champion, hold his own in the striking, and be able to mix it up in the grappling or in the clinch, and be able to, I don't think finish Montel Jackson, but I think get a home country win, a 29-28 decision here, and Figueiredo shows why he's that top 7 level. He ain't no gatekeeper yet, you know what I'm saying? It literally was like last year to where this guy could have been one away from a title shot if he beat Jan, you know what I mean? So I really think Figueiredo is being underrated right now. I'm not sure how many other people are picking him or whatever the hell it is, but I think Jackson is a good fighter, a good striker. It'd be nice if he won and mixes up the rankings as like guys like Zahabi and Batista and him are kind of moving up. But in general, I'm trusting in Figueiredo to hold down the fort for the Younks here, okay? I know he's suffering from the height and reach disadvantage here, and obviously he's on a losing skid, whereas Jackson's on a multiple fight win streak, but you get my point. I'm trusting in Deiveson Figueiredo to take this one, okay? And moving on to the main event, bro, it's damn near pick-em odds from what I'm looking at right now. There isn't even a clear favorite or underdog, but Charles Oliveira versus Matus Gamrot, man. I love this fight. Shout out to Gamrot for stepping up, and I don't know if y'all saw his reaction when he found out he actually got the fight, and he's just going, whoa, whoa. He's just like screaming. Play that, Jamie. Whoa! Whoa! Yeah, and honestly, I'm happy for Gamrot. It's very underrated how in his career he's consistently taking these short notice opportunities, or he's trying to be the backup fighter for like these title pictures, and I can respect that from Gamrot. If he's able to get this one done and sees this massive opportunity in front of him, he can get a really big fight next, okay? But this one alone, Charles Oliveira, I'm gonna go with Charles Oliveira, to be honest. To be honest, I'm not confident in this at all, but Charles Oliveira, you blonde son of a bitch, I'm rooting for you. And honestly, I don't even care who wins this one, to be honest, because I'm kind of rooting for Gamrot as well. I respect him for this whole story, him taking the opportunity, and I feel like his skill set in general is underrated, man. Gamrot, he's not the most entertaining fighter in the world. In terms of entertainment, D tier, okay? But in terms of his skill set, man, he's got underrated striking defensively and offensively. He knows how to mix it up. He's got good fight IQ. And the fights where he goes to war against Saryukin, against Dan Hooker, yes, he comes up short. But even against Jalen Turner, very close decision that he did win, but some people said robbery or whatever the hell. But in general, these wars that he's going to are either too close for comfort for him, and they're very entertaining for the fans, but it's just too close for comfort for him, and he either comes up short, or even like against a Jalen Turner, he's able to win, but it's just so close. And I feel like against Charles Oliveira, I feel like Oliveira just has the better finishing ability, more 5-round experience, to where Gamrot, I feel like he's going to try and get the hell after it and try and make some kind of statement, and similar to how he did against like a Dan Hooker, come like running out the gates, be efficient as hell with your takedowns, but also get in the pocket. Like Gamrot against Hooker, I mean, he was getting scrappy with it on the feet, man. He was piecing up Hooker and also taking all of his best shots as well. I just feel like with Gamrot, man, if he had more finishing ability, I would be going with him to win this fight. I think his wrestling's good. I think his striking's underrated. He's got good cardio, good fight IQ. And the fact that he's so invested in taking this opportunity, I feel like it could do wonders for his career if he does win. But I just think that the lack of finishing ability, the reason I'm making a big point out of this is because I really do think that will be a detriment to him, man. Oliveira is chinny. Oliveira can get caught, man. Like, he's been knocked down so much in his career. But Gamrot, man, has been been as well, and I feel like that's a problem because if anything, I could see Oliveira having the necessary power, the necessary striking, the necessary animal instincts to just get the hell after it and be able to crack Gamrot on the feet and maybe get some kind of knockout, or then when he does crack Gamrot and Gamrot gets sent flying to the ground, then he's able to take his back and take advantage of it. Some kind of submission, but Gamrot's hard to finish, man. He gets knocked down against guys like RDA, against Jalen Turner, Armin Saryuki, and even more. Like, he's been knocked down multiple times in his career. Garam Kutaledze, for Christ's sake, okay? And even though he is getting knocked down, man, like, his chin for the most part is durable because he's not getting finished. He's got good defensive grappling. He's good in the scrambles to where he avoids getting submitted. And his chin is durable enough, and he's showing good enough fight IQ to where he doesn't get finished, man, okay? It's very scary for him at times. It definitely costs him rounds, and it definitely costs him big moments, costs him energy, and it's not a great look for the judges' scorecards, but, and I feel like that's a reason why so much of the time he does focus a bit too much on just smudge festing, on just racking up control time, and just showing how strong he is on the ground, and efficiently controlling you, not necessarily advancing positions, or hunting for ground and pound, or getting submissions. Gamrot is a smudge grappler, and it works very well for him, but again, man, it's at the cost of the fans. I think Oliveira is going to put on a high pace and a high pressure, and I feel like could be, both these guys are well-rounded, but just could be the better grappler and the better striker and more powerful, better finishing instincts, better submission ability on the ground for Oliveira, to where I'm going with Oliveira, man. He's 35 years old, so he's at the very tail end of his physical prime, and I know it's easy to just go with Gamrot right now, because at least Gamrot's coming off of a win, and it was a good win over Ludovic Klein. Before that, he had a good win streak. Even the only one loss in his last 5 fights against Hooker was a very close fight that arguably could have went to Gamrot himself, but I'm just saying Gamrot consistently seems to be coming up short against this step up in competition in his career. Armin Saryukin, he got the nod, but a lot of people thought that he robbed Saryukin. But Neil Dariush, he loses that one. Dan Hooker, he loses that one. Rafael Fiziev, he's able to beat him, but it was via injury on Fiziev's end. You know what I mean? So Gamrot is good. He's got all the tools necessary besides the lack of finishing ability to beat Oliveira, because Oliveira, his submission ability is great. His takedown defense is great. He's able to take the back so clean, and even offensively off his back. Like, the guy is dangerous on the ground. He's the marauder of marauders. I just feel like the attitude thing could be a bit worrying for Oliveira. The fact that, yes, he did take this fight, but the fact that he was just preparing for a striker, or very focused on that. I also feel like another thing is the retirement vibes. I can't not talk about that. I was much more worried for it against Fiziev, because I thought Fiziev had the necessary power to find the chin of Oliveira and crack him. I was going to pick Fiziev to beat Oliveira fairly confidently, but I just think Gamrot lacks that one-punch power, or lacks that thud on the feet, man, okay? And I think that Fiziev's power is overrated. I think Fiziev's striking is a little bit overrated. But I'm just saying, at least Fiziev, I could just see him getting it done in terms of his striking alone. He had the necessary takedown defense, yada, yada. But with Oliveira, man, going against Gamrot, I just think the fact that it's such a quick turnaround after the Topuria fight, and his chin could be a bit more exposed to where a guy like Fiziev could find it, but I just don't think Gamrot will. Gamrot's striking is underrated, but not his power, man. I just feel like even though Oliveira, I'm feeling a retirement, whether he wins or loses, and I know that just the quick turnaround after getting absolutely flatlined by Topuria, the first time in Oliveira's whole career of like 40-plus pro fights, really at least at the UFC level, I know not 40 fights in the UFC, but at least in the UFC, that was really the only time he's been truly just flatlined like that, man, okay? I don't even think it's just victim of old age, or the fact that he's getting up there and his glory days are over. I just think Topuria's power is that devastating. He's that good. I think Topuria could do the same thing to Gamrot. You know what I mean? I think he could do it to a lot of guys in the division. But I'm just saying, with Oliveira, man, I just think that even though it reeks of retirement vibes, and even though it's a super quick turnaround, and even though the chin could be very worrying, I just feel like Gamrot isn't an opponent to where some of these asterisks just aren't going to hit as hard as if it was an opponent like Fiziev, or a guy who just, I don't even know, like a Pimblett, somebody like that who just has a bit more of that thud, who has a bit more of that finishing instincts. And I feel like this fight will be a dogfight. I feel like it'll be a high pace. Both guys have good cardio. Both guys are going to be able to consistently hold high pressure and high cardio to where I could see this one going to a decision, especially if Gamrot wins. If Gamrot wins, I'm smelling a 48-47, where Oliveira has moments very early on and very late on in the fight. And if Oliveira wins, I feel like it could be a decision. It could be a submission, or it could be a knockout, but Gamrot is just so hard to finish to where I'm probably going to be seeing a decision no matter who wins this one, to be honest. So I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira via a 48-47 decision, which is crazy. I just said if Gamrot wins, he would do the same thing. But either way, I guess I smell a 48-47 decision now that I'm just talking out loud about it. But even though there are a lot of aspects to this fight that do make me worry for Oliveira, and again, win or lose, I could see him retiring. I'm going to be trusting in the better striking, the better finishing instincts. He can hold his own in the grappling against most guys or pretty much anybody. Like, yes, he can get taken down by a Saryukian or by a Makhachev, but for the most part, even if Gamrot takes him down, that doesn't guarantee he's going to win the damn fight, okay? Both these guys know how to scrap, but ultimately I'm trusting in Oliveira to get this one done, and I would love to see him possibly retire if he does on a win here, okay? Home country, everything like that. I know the Brazilians are like 1-11 the entire year in Fight Night main events, so statistically it's not looking good for Oliveira, but that one win was Johnny Walker, so who the hell knows, okay? So I'm trusting and hoping that Oliveira gets this one done, but very hard fight to call, and Gamrot could totally get it done, and honestly, there's a reason why the betting odds are so close, man. Very unpredictable, but I'm excited for it, okay? And moving on now to the blanks of the card, we have the underdog of the card, the locks of the card, the wild card of the card, and my card rating. All these are self-explanatory, but as usual, I will get to it as I get to it. So starting off with my underdog of the card, which one of my underdog picks are the most confident in? The three underdogs I went with for this card were Clayton, Carpenter, Johanita Diniz, and it was Davison Figueiredo, I believe. Those were the three. Now, usually I go, if anything, I try to go with whom is the most realistic, who is, if anything, who's the smaller underdog? Usually those guys at least have the better chances. I know that two of the underdogs I picked are very slight underdogs. It might be smarter to go with them, but I'm saying Figueiredo, dude. I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know what they're slipping into everybody else's meals that apparently I'm just not eating, because I just don't understand how he's this big of a dog. He's just one where I question the odds. Like, how is he this big of a dog? And usually with that comes upset sometimes, so I'm going to be trusting in that, okay? Moving on next to who are my locks of the card. Which of these fighters am I the most confident in, am I picking with, and I believe are not motherfucking losing, okay? I'm going to throw Joel Alvarez on there. I'm so sorry to Vicente Luque, but I'm putting Joel Alvarez on there. And I'm going to put Vitor Petrino as well. And those are going to be my only two, honestly. I'm going to keep it short and sweet this week. Vitor Petrino and Joel Alvarez are my two locks of the card. Those are going to be the two fighters I think are not motherfucking losing, okay? And moving on now to the wild card of the card. Who's somebody that's kind of being overlooked or overshadowed and not quite picked, but if they do get a win, which it is possible, if they get a win, they'd really shake up the division or the rankings or whatever it may be. I gotta go with Vicente Luque, man. There's a couple of crafty, if you know, kind of picks you can go with on this card, but truly, Alvarez is a big favorite. Most people are going with him. Alvarez is going to be so big of a favorite and so picked that one of those DraftKings statistics are going to pop up under the screen where it's like 90% of DraftKings users are picking Alvarez, and you got John Anik getting in cold sweats over it, but I do think that Vicente Luque does have a chance. It's the year of the Younks. He is a good fighter. He is well-rounded. He can hang in a dogfight, but there's just so many reasons why not to go with him, but there is that chance he can get it done. He's going to be the wild card of the card, okay? I'm not picking him to win, but I could see him maybe getting some kind of crafty win. We'll see it, man, all right? And moving on now to the card rating. What am I going to rate this card from 1 to 10 here? Obviously, I rate a 5 out of 10 pay-per-view. Obviously, that's going to be a better card than a 5 out of 10 fight night, okay? But I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. This had potential to crack that 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, okay? The main, the co-main, and the featured fight are fantastic. But then when you have like Diniz versus Pinto on the main card, and you have kind of these other matchups where they're pretty unknown names to most of the fans, and then the prelims, they kind of drop the ball. There's a couple Clayton Carpenters and shit like that here and there. There's a couple good scraps, interesting moments that we could see, interesting finishes, but I feel like this card lacks name value. It really relies on the big three fights, and beyond that, it could just be an Apex card. It's kind of crazy to say, but that's what we're dealing with. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 out of respect for how good the main and the co-main and all that is, but really most of this card, it's kind of like, all right. Like, let me know what happens the next day. Unfortunately, I think there could be a lot of bangers, a lot of finishes, and a lot of excitement, but you know what I mean, okay? Respect to this card. It is good, but I just feel like it could have been better, man. It lacks that depth, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna give this a 6.5 out of 10, all right? And that's gonna be it for the video, man. I appreciate y'all for giving me your time and attention and making it this far, truly. Be sure to leave your opinions in the comments below. Let me know your picks or your locks or your underdogs. I'd love to hear it, man. And genuinely, guys, thank you so very much for giving me your time and attention and just watching this video, man, and making it this far. I truly motherfucking appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a good time watching the fights for Rio this weekend, all right? All the smoke here, Uncle Smoke here. I appreciate y'all. Be safe. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you all next time.